The rehearsal dinner at Lighthouse Point restaurant should have been perfect. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light across tables dressed in navy and gold, the wedding colors my brother Marcus and his fiancée Jennifer had chosen. 75 guests filled the private dining room. Family, wedding party, close friends, all gathered to celebrate the couple's big day tomorrow. I sat at the family table, positioned between Aunt Linda and my cousin Jessica, picking at my salmon while Marcus stood to give yet another speech. At 32, my older brother had always commanded attention. Tonight, in his tailored navy suit, he looked every bit the successful investment banker Dad had always wanted him to be. "I just want to thank everyone for being here," Marcus said, his arm around Jennifer's waist. She beamed up at him, her engagement ring catching the light. "And especially Dad for everything he's given us." Dad stood, raising his champagne glass. At 65, Richard Morgan still carried himself like the corporate executive he'd been before retirement. "Marcus, Jennifer, watching you two has been incredible. Your mother would be so proud. Mom had died 4 years ago. Breast cancer. Dad still wore his wedding ring. Which is why," Dad continued, his voice thick with emotion, "I want to give you both something special. Something your mother and I always dreamed of passing down to our children." My stomach tightened. I knew what was coming. "The beach house in Seaside Cove," Dad announced. "It's yours after the ceremony. Deed transfer papers are already drawn up." The room erupted in applause. Jennifer actually squealed, jumping up to hug Dad. Marcus looked stunned, then elated, shaking Dad's hand before pulling him into an embrace. "Richard, that's incredibly generous," Jennifer's father called out. "That property must be worth at least $2 million, someone else added. I set down my fork carefully, watching the scene unfold. Aunt Linda patted my hand sympathetically. She was Mom's sister, one of the few people who knew the truth about our family dynamics. "Dad, I don't know what to say," Marcus managed, his voice breaking. "The beach house, that's where we spent every summer as kids. The memories there, now you'll make new memories," Dad said, his eyes suspiciously bright. "You and Jennifer, and someday our grandchildren." Jennifer was already on her phone, showing photos to the bridesmaids. "We can honeymoon there, and host family gatherings." "Oh my God, Marcus, we own a beach house." My phone buzzed in my clutch. I glanced at it discreetly. An email notification from Coastal Title and Insurance Company. Perfect timing. "Sarah," Dad called across the table. "Aren't you going to congratulate your brother?" All eyes turned to me. I felt the familiar weight of family expectation, the unspoken comparison between the golden child and the disappointing daughter. I smiled politely. "Congratulations, Marcus." "Jennifer, that's it?" Marcus laughed, but there was an edge to it. "Dad just gave us a $2 million property and you can barely muster enthusiasm." "Marcus," Jennifer touched his arm, but he was on a roll. "This is typical Sarah," he told the room, playing to his audience. "Dad offers her opportunities, tries to involve her in the family business, but she'd rather work her little nonprofit job and live in that tiny apartment downtown." "Marcus, that's enough," Aunt Linda said sharply.
Is it though?
Marcus continued. "Dad's been incredibly generous to both of us over the years. I've used those opportunities to build something. Sarah just coasts." My email notification chimed again, louder this time. Several people glanced at my phone on the table. "Maybe you should put that away," Dad suggested. "This is a family moment." I picked up my phone, unlocking it with deliberate calm. The subject line glowed on the screen. Property title confirmation. 447 Ocean View Drive, Seaside Cove. "Sarah, seriously," Marcus said, "can you not be rude for 5 minutes?" I tapped the email open. The notification sound was still on, and my phone read the preview aloud in the sudden quiet confirmation. "Sarah Morgan, sole owner, oceanfront property since April 2019. Dad's champagne glass stopped halfway to his lips, frozen in midair. The entire room went silent. "What was that?" Jennifer asked, her smile uncertain. I looked up from my phone, meeting Dad's eyes across the table. His face had gone pale. "Sarah," Aunt Linda whispered. "Is that what I think it is?" I set my phone on the table, screen up. The email header was clearly visible to anyone nearby. Coastal Title and Insurance Company. Property ownership verification. I don't understand, Marcus said slowly. That address, that's the beach house. There must be some mistake, Dad said, but his voice lacked conviction. My phone rang. The caller ID showed James Patterson, Coastal Title and Insurance. I answered on speaker. Hello, Mr. Patterson, Miss Morgan, good evening, came the professional voice. I apologize for calling during dinner, but you asked to be notified immediately when the title verification was complete. I'm pleased to confirm that property deed 447 Ocean View Drive, Seaside Cove, remains in your name as sole owner. The title is clear, no liens or encumbrances. Transfer date April 15, 2019. All property taxes current through 2025. Insurance policy active and up to date. The color drained from Marcus's face. Thank you, Mr. Patterson, I said calmly. I'll review the documents tomorrow. Of course, and Miss Morgan, the property management company confirmed your rental income for 2024 exceeded projections by 12%. The quarterly report is attached to this email. I ended the call. 75 people stared at me in complete silence. Jennifer spoke first, her voice small. Rental income, Sarah, Dad said carefully, setting down his champagne. What is this about? The beach house, I said simply. 447 Ocean View Drive. I bought it 6 years ago. That's impossible. Marcus stood abruptly. Dad owns that property. It's been in our family since I was born. It was in our family, I corrected. Until Dad defaulted on the mortgage in 2018. Dad's face flushed red. Sarah, this is not the time or place. When is the time, Dad? I kept my voice level. Before or after you fraudulently promised to transfer property you don't own to Marcus. Aunt Linda actually laughed, a sharp bark of sound. Oh, Richard, you didn't. Someone explain what's happening. Jennifer demanded, looking between Marcus and Dad. I opened the email attachment on my phone, then stood and walked to the head table, where the wedding coordinator had set up a small projector for the slideshow planned for later. It took 30 seconds to connect my phone. The title deed appeared on the screen, 10 feet tall, official seals and signatures clear. Property deed 447 Ocean View Drive, Seaside Cove, owner Sarah Elizabeth Morgan. Purchase date April 15, 2019. Purchase price $1,847,000. $2 million now, I said to the silent room. I paid $1.8 million 6 years ago, in cash, when the bank foreclosed after Dad missed 18 months of mortgage payments. You're lying, Marcus said, but he sounded uncertain. I switched to the next document. Bank foreclosure notice, dated February 2019, addressed to Richard Morgan. After Mom died, Dad went through a difficult time. I explained, my voice carrying across the frozen room. He stopped managing finances, stopped paying bills. The beach house mortgage was $8,000 a month. By the time the foreclosure notice came, he owed over $144,000 in back payments plus penalties. Sarah, stop this, Dad commanded, but his authority was crumbling. The bank gave him 90 days to pay or lose the property. I continued. Dad told me he was handling it. Told Marcus the same thing, but he wasn't handling it at all. I switched slides again. My bank statement from April 2019, showing the $1,847,000 transfer to Seaside Cove. Federal Bank, I bought it at auction, I said. Paid cash. Market value at the time was $2.1 million, but foreclosure auction went lower. I got a good deal. With what money? Marcus demanded. You work at a nonprofit. I do work at a nonprofit, I agreed. The Morgan Foundation, which I founded in 2015, with the inheritance Grandma Margaret left me. Aunt Linda smiled. Mom always did like you best. Grandma left you money. Marcus looked genuinely shocked. She left both of us money, I said. You got $50,000 when you turned 25, remember? You bought that BMW. I got $50,000 too. But I also got something else, her investment portfolio, worth approximately $3.2 million. The room gasped. That's impossible, Dad said. Mom would have told me. She did tell you. Aunt Linda interjected. You were furious that she gave the bulk of her estate to Sarah instead of splitting it evenly. You and Margaret fought about it 2 months before she died. I switched slides again, showing the Morgan Foundation's 990 tax form from 2020. Total assets, $8.7 million. I took Grandma's $3.2 million and invested conservatively, I explained. Index funds, municipal bonds, some real estate. The foundation has grown substantially. We fund educational programs for underprivileged children. Last year we provided 247 full scholarships to private schools. Your little nonprofit job, Marcus said faintly. I'm the executive director, I said. I pay myself $85,000 a year, well below market rate for my role. I live modestly because I choose to. The foundation's mission matters more than luxury. Jennifer was scrolling through something on her own phone. Oh my God, Marcus. The Morgan Foundation is rated 4 stars by Charity Navigator. They've given away over $6 million in the last decade. I switched to another document. Property tax records for 447 Ocean View Drive, showing 6 years of payments, all made by Sarah Morgan. After I bought the house, I had a decision to make, I said. I could tell Dad and Marcus, embarrass them with the truth about the foreclosure, or I could let them believe Dad still owned it and see what they did with that assumption. So this is a game to you. Dad's voice shook. No, I said quietly. This is a test, one you both failed spectacularly. I switched slides again. A rental agreement, showing the beach house had been leased to various families over the past 6 summers. Total rental income, $340,000. I've rented it out seasonally, I explained. Premium rates for a prime beachfront property. The income goes to the foundation. Last summer alone, we charged $12,000 a week. That's $96,000 for the 8-week summer season. You've been profiting off our family home. Marcus accused. I've been managing my property, I corrected. A property you thought Dad owned, that Dad apparently promised you tonight without checking if he actually had the legal right to do so. Dad slumped in his chair. Jennifer stood up. Marcus, did you know about any of this? Of course not. Marcus looked genuinely devastated. Dad said, he told me last month that he wanted to give us the beach house as a wedding gift. I had no idea he didn't own it anymore. Did you ever ask to see the deed? I asked. Marcus stared at me. Why would I? He's my father. Exactly, I said softly. You trusted him without verification. You assumed, like you've always assumed, that Dad would provide for you, that you were entitled to family assets without ever questioning the details. I closed the presentation and disconnected my phone. The room remained silent. Here's the reality, I said, returning to my seat. Dad lost the beach house through financial negligence 6 years ago. I bought it to preserve something Mom loved. I've maintained it, paid the taxes, managed it responsibly, and I've let both of you live in ignorance, because I wanted to see if you'd ever ask questions, ever think beyond your assumptions. This is cruel, Marcus said. Is it? I met his eyes. Or is it honest? You just told 75 people that I coast through life while you've built something. You've spent years dismissing my work, my choices, my life, because it doesn't look like success to you. Sarah has a point, Aunt Linda said. You've been quite smug about your investment banking career, Marcus, while dismissing her nonprofit work as frivolous. Jennifer was still on her phone. Marcus, the Morgan Foundation, provided scholarships to 3 students at my high school. I knew the name sounded familiar. They changed those kids' lives. I pulled another document from my clutch, printed and folded. I slid it across the table to Marcus. What's this? He asked warily. A lease agreement, I said. The beach house. You and Jennifer can stay there for your honeymoon. 2 weeks, no charge. My wedding gift to you. He stared at the paper like it might bite him. After that, if you want to rent it for family gatherings, the rate is $2,000 a weekend in off-season, $4,000 in summer. Same rates I charge everyone else. All proceeds go to the foundation. You're charging us to use our family home. Marcus's voice broke. It's not your family home, I said gently. It's my property. I'm offering you fair terms. Dad finally spoke. Sarah, I made a mistake. The foreclosure, the financial problems after your mother died. I was drowning. I should have told you both the truth. Yes, I agreed. You should have. Instead, you let Marcus believe in a fantasy. And tonight you promised to give him something that wasn't yours to give. I thought Dad trailed off. I assumed you'd sell it back to me eventually. That you bought it as an investment. That you'd let me have it back when I got on my feet. Did you ever ask me that directly? I waited. He shook his head. Did you ever thank me for saving it from being sold to strangers? For keeping it in the family in the only way I could? Another head shake. You both made assumptions, I said. About me, about my life, about my choices. You saw what you wanted to see, disappointing Sarah with her little nonprofit job and tiny apartment. You never asked about the details, never wondered how I afforded that apartment in a luxury building downtown, or how I traveled to Europe twice last year, or why I wasn't stressed about money despite my low-paying job. The foundation pays for your lifestyle, Jennifer said slowly, understanding dawning. No, I corrected. The foundation operates completely separately, but I have personal investments from Grandma's portfolio that have grown substantially. I live comfortably. I just don't need to broadcast wealth. My phone buzzed again. A text from my property manager. Reminder: summer 2025 bookings for Ocean View property are 100% reserved. Premium pricing locked in. $156,000 projected revenue. I showed the text to Marcus. This summer's already booked. 8 weeks, various families. I confirmed the last reservation yesterday. His face crumbled. We were planning to spend weekends there. Jennifer's parents wanted to visit in July. You can book it for next year, I said. I typically reserve 2 weeks in September for personal use. The rest is available for rent. I can't believe this, Jennifer said quietly. She wasn't angry, just stunned. Marcus, your dad promised us a house he didn't own. I'm so sorry, sweetheart, Dad said to her. This is my fault. I got confused about the ownership. I thought I believed. You believed what was convenient, Aunt Linda said sharply. Just like you believed Sarah was wasting her life because her success didn't look like Marcus's success. I stood up, smoothing my dress. I need some air. Excuse me. I walked out to the restaurant's deck overlooking the harbor. The evening was cool, stars visible despite the ambient light. Behind me, I could hear raised voices from the dining room, the rehearsal dinner dissolving into chaos. 5 minutes later, Jennifer found me. I owe you an apology, she said, joining me at the railing. You didn't know, I said. I should have questioned it, she replied. $2 million property as a casual wedding gift? That's extraordinary. I got caught up in the excitement and didn't think critically. That's human nature. Marcus is devastated, she said. Not about the house, really. About realizing he's been wrong about you. For years, I didn't respond. He told me you were the family disappointment, Jennifer continued. That you'd squandered opportunities, that you were barely making ends meet. I believed him because he's my fiancé, and I trusted his judgment. And now I'm wondering what else he's been wrong about. She looked at me. The Morgan Foundation funded scholarships at my old high school. Maria Rodriguez, she was in my sister's class. Full scholarship to St. Catherine's Prep. She's at MIT now, studying engineering. I remember Maria, I said. Brilliant student, terrible home situation. The scholarship changed her trajectory. You changed her trajectory, Jennifer said. You and your little nonprofit job that Marcus dismisses. You've changed hundreds of trajectories. We stood in silence for a moment. I want to make a donation, Jennifer said. Personal funds, not wedding gifts. $10,000 to the Morgan Foundation. I looked at her in surprise. I'm a pediatric surgeon, she explained. I make good money. I see kids every day who need opportunities they'll never get because of poverty. If your foundation can help even one more student like Maria, she shrugged. That matters more than a fancy beach house. Thank you, I said sincerely. Will you still let us honeymoon there? She asked. I'll understand if you don't want to after tonight. The offer stands, I said. 2 weeks, my gift to you both. What you do with that time is up to you. She hugged me impulsively. You're a better person than I would be in this situation. When we returned to the dining room, the atmosphere had shifted. Most guests had left, sensing the family drama and making polite excuses. Only the wedding party and immediate family remained. Marcus stood when he saw me. Sarah, I need to apologize. Not tonight, I said. Tomorrow's your wedding day. Let's get through that first. I've been an arrogant ass, he continued anyway. For years, assuming I knew better, that my career made me superior, that your choices were somehow less valid. Yes, I agreed simply. He flinched. I don't know how to make this right. Start by actually seeing me, I suggested. Not your idea of me. The real me. The person who built something meaningful from Grandma's legacy. Who saved our mother's beloved beach house from strangers. Who shows up to family events despite being constantly dismissed. I want to do better, he said. Then do better, I replied. Don't tell me you want to. Show me through actions. Dad approached, looking older than his 65 years. Sarah, I've made terrible mistakes. The foreclosure, the financial problems, letting you handle it alone, while pretending everything was fine. And then promising Marcus something I had no right to promise. Yes, I said again. Can you forgive me? Eventually, I said, but not tonight. Tonight I'm angry. I'm hurt, and I'm tired of being the family disappointment when I've actually been the one holding things together. Aunt Linda gathered her purse. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. Your mother would be too. Mom knew, I said quietly. Before she died, she knew I'd bought the house. I told her everything. Dad's face went white. She knew. She made me promise not to tell you, I said. She said you needed to learn humility, to understand that money and property don't make family. She hoped losing the beach house would teach you to value what matters. Did it work? Aunt Linda asked Dad pointedly. He couldn't answer. The wedding the next day was beautiful. Jennifer looked stunning in her lace gown. Marcus handsome in his tuxedo. I stood as a bridesmaid, smiled for photos, and gave a toast at the reception that focused on love and partnership and building a future together. I didn't mention the beach house. Neither did anyone else. During the reception, Marcus pulled me aside. I've been thinking about what you said, about doing better, not just saying it. Okay, I said. I want to make a substantial donation to the Morgan Foundation, he said. And I want to volunteer. Whatever you need. Grant review, fundraising, board service. I have skills that could help. That would be valuable, I acknowledged. The foundation could use someone with financial expertise. I also want to learn, he said, about the work you do, the students you help. I've spent years dismissing it as less important than investment banking. But Jennifer showed me your annual report last night. The impact metrics, the outcomes data. Sarah, you're running a sophisticated operation that's genuinely changing lives. It's important work, I agreed. I'm sorry it took this disaster for me to see it, he said. And I'm sorry I needed Jennifer to explain it to me, because I wouldn't listen to you. At least you're listening now. He hugged me and I let him, though I held part of myself back. Trust would take time to rebuild. Dad found me near the end of the reception. I've been talking to a financial advisor, getting my affairs in order, properly this time. No more assumptions, no more magical thinking about money. That's good, I said. I want to make things right, he said. I can't undo the years of dismissing you, but I can try to do better going forward. I'd like that, I said, carefully. The beach house, he started, is mine, I finished firmly. That's not changing, Dad. I bought it legally. I've managed it responsibly, and it's staying in my name. I know, he said. I wasn't going to ask for it back. I was going to ask if you'd consider renting it to me occasionally. At your standard rates. I'd like to take your Aunt Linda there sometimes. Remember Margaret? I can arrange that, I said. Call my property manager. She handles all the bookings. He nodded, accepting the boundary. 3 months later, I sat in my office at the Morgan Foundation, a renovated warehouse space in the Arts District, bright and open, walls covered with photos of scholarship recipients. My assistant knocked on the door. Your brother's here, she said, for the volunteer orientation. Marcus entered, dressed casually in jeans and a polo shirt, so different from his usual suits. Ready to review grant applications, I asked. Ready to learn, he corrected. We spent 3 hours going through funding requests, discussing evaluation criteria, reviewing student essays. Marcus asked good questions, challenged assumptions thoughtfully, and genuinely engaged with the work. This student, he said, pointing to an application, Maria Santos, she wants to study marine biology. Her grades are excellent, but her essay is all over the place. She's 15 and writing in her second language, I said. Look past the grammar. What's she actually saying? He read more carefully. She wants to study ocean conservation because she grew up fishing with her grandfather and saw the stocks depleting. She wants to find solutions. Exactly, I said. That's passion. That's purpose. We can help her with essay writing skills, but we can't teach that drive. Fund her, Marcus said. Full scholarship. I was planning to, I smiled. I just wanted to see if you'd see what I see. He looked at me. I'm starting to. It's humbling. Over the following months, Marcus became genuinely involved with the foundation. He brought financial discipline to our investment strategy, helped develop new revenue streams, and even started mentoring some of the older scholarship students interested in business careers. Jennifer made good on her donation and joined the board. Her medical perspective helped us develop health and wellness components for our programs. Dad started seeing a therapist to work through his grief over mom and his financial anxiety. He rented the beach house for a weekend in September, spent time with Aunt Linda, and sent me a check for the full amount with a note. Thank you for preserving Margaret's favorite place. The beach house remained mine. I kept renting it out, kept funneling the income to the foundation. But I also started blocking out 1 week every summer for family use, free of charge for Marcus, Jennifer, Dad, Aunt Linda, and eventually, for Marcus and Jennifer's daughter, born the following spring. They named her Margaret, after our mother. On the baby's first birthday, we gathered at the beach house. Marcus and Jennifer had brought her there several times already, making new memories. Dad played with his granddaughter on the sand, while Aunt Linda supervised from the porch. Thank you, Marcus said to me, watching his daughter toddle after a seagull. For this, for everything. She deserves to know this place, I said. Like we did. I was thinking, he said carefully. When Margaret's old enough, maybe she could volunteer at the foundation during summers, learn about giving back, about using privilege responsibly. I'd like that, I said. And maybe, he continued, we could set up a scholarship fund in Mom's name. Jennifer and I want to contribute annually, make it our family tradition. I felt tears prick my eyes. Mom would love that. I'm sorry it took so long, Marcus said quietly, to see you, to understand, to value what you've built. But you see it now, I said. That's what matters. We stood together, watching our family on the beach. 3 generations connected by love and loss, and the hard work of forgiveness. The beach house stood behind us, solid and beautiful, waves rolling eternally to shore. Not the inheritance Dad promised, not the wedding gift Marcus expected, but something better, a lesson in humility, a catalyst for honesty, and ultimately, a bridge back to each other. 6 years ago, I'd bought this property to save it from strangers. Today it had saved us from ourselves.